You are listening to Nightmare Road, your podcast for true crime and paranormal events. Proceed with caution, as some of the subjects covered may trigger certain individuals. Now join us as we journey down Nightmare Road.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I am your just joking. It's not the doll, it's not the host. I am your host, Decon, here with the very, very afraid of dolls.
SOS, and yes, I hate them. Hate them.
You know, we were having some
Yeah.
issues. We try to connect, we try doing all these kind of things, and I'm sitting here like this with this beautiful Chloe, you know, with me, and we're trying. I'm like, well, we can't get it, and I had to uninstall the app, and then I reinstalled it, and it kept telling me invalid, and so then I was like, all right, I'm gonna humor SOS here. So I grab her and I set her away from my phone. Now all of a sudden, everything starts up, and I'm like, oh well, look at that. But
Look at
Chloe's not a
that.
bad girl. Chloe is a good girl. So let's besides me being a grown man with a doll, what's today's topic there, SOS?
Well, speaking of dolls, you had the idea, and so we ran with it to go ahead and do a show on the island of dolls in Mexico.
Yes, the Island of Dolls. It's
Yes.
if you guys hate dolls, don't go there. Just go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Just
I'm never going. I'm never going. It would look. I think so. I've been to the rattlesnake roundup, and I am really afraid of snakes. And I still have nightmares, and it's been 15 years since I've been to that. I can't imagine what this island would do. Stop it, Decon! I can't imagine what going there for me. It's like such a phobia. I hate them. Hate them.
you
So,
know what? If you're afraid of the okay, this is a theory that some people have. I don't. They say that if you're afraid of dolls, like if they make you like uncomfortable to the point where it's like I can't be in the same room, they believe that in your past life, no, not that the doll killed you, but that your soul was probably stored in a doll until eventually it
oh,
passed on. So like you're looking at a doll and what you look at subconsciously is your prison.
yeah, I don't know what it is, but I hate them. Hate them. But I have a full size skeleton in my house on his little cummerbund and Jack, but he doesn't bother me. But dolls bother me. Yeah. So, you want to get into this?
Yeah, let's get into it. Enough creeping people out.
I'm creeping myself out. I got the shivers. So, um, there's some conflicting stories online about this, but so I kind of went with his nephew's version because I
Yeah.
figured it's probably the accurate version of why this island came to be. And it was over 15 years ago that, or 50 years ago, that Don Julian Santana left his wife and child and moved on to this island and started doing this shrine because it there's a young girl accidentally drowned in either the lake or the canals that are there.
Yeah, a small canal. And you didn't say his full, I don't remember all his names, but he had at least 5 names. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So I shortened it up because I some of it I can't pronounce. Anyway, I
Yeah.
can't even pronounce the name of the canals. I can't.
Well, a
I
lot of
don't.
those, I think what it is that those canals are the Aztec language. So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Nahuatl and all that kind of, or the Mayan languages. So, yeah, they're unpronounceable. It's kind of like, so here's an interesting fact. So sorry, I'm so stupid. Anyways, so
Encyclopedia Decon.
yeah, encyclopedia. So there's a state in Mexico that is called come on, brain, thinking here. I think it's in Uchinalpa, and when they asked, and the reason why it has that name is because when one of the conquistadors asked one of the Aztecs, he's like, "Hey, what is this valley called?" And he's like, "En Tochinalpa." So then he's like, okay, write that down. So when you take that word and you translate it, it literally translates to, what did he say?
Oh no. Really?
Yep.
Oh my god. Well, that would be me. So I can't pronounce anything. Um so this little girl drowned, and there are so I don't know. I saw like 4 different versions of the drowning. I had a version where she was swimming alone, and Don Julian saw her drown and try to revive her. I saw a version that he just found her body in floating in the water. I saw a version where she was swimming with her sisters, and and she drowned, and they ran to get help, and he tried to rescue her. So I don't know. But the point was, little girl drowned, and it
Yeah.
really disturbed him. And then things started happening to him after the drowning that he couldn't explain, that were paranormal. So apparently he'd never had paranormal occurrences happen until the drowning.
Yeah, and what's good? Okay, so I heard as if somebody came to my house and they're like, "Hey, did you know that Island of the Dolls?" So the story that I read, which was a story in Spanish, how some people believe that he accidentally drowned a girl, and that's why he ran away from his family, because he was last seen with this girl, and that the girl that he saw drowning in the canal, they believed that she wasn't even really there, that it was just his broken mind.
Wow, that's
You
an
know,
interesting take.
I like
Um,
that one better.
yeah, it kind of fits with what was going on paranormally with him, because allegedly after the drowning, uh, he had a farm, he had farmland and crops, and after the drowning, things started happening. Like his crops are dying, and he couldn't revive his crops. The land became
Yeah,
infertile. He started seeing ghosts. He started hearing things. And so almost like a psychotic event or schizophrenia in a sense. And because it never happened and then started happening. But a lot of times that's what happens with people when we are all born with all these gifts, but we tend to, a lot of people ignore, and then something stressor happens, and then they're front and center, and you can't turn them off anymore. You can't ignore them.
so yeah,
So
yeah, that's what some people were saying, is that he was tormented by the spirit of the little girl, and that he was seeing her in the water, that she would come in his dreams, and to okay, so one of the versions is that he found a doll in the canal, and he believed that might have been her doll. So he, built like a shrine to her or something, and like put her up on a tree. Other versions say that that where that basically he went and got a doll. That he actually went and got a doll to try to appease this spirit, and how. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, okay, there you go.
I wanted to
Ooh,
show people what we're talking about here is that
yeah,
this whole island is full of dolls,
of all kinds.
all
So
kinds.
yeah, all kinds of dolls. So I guess that and it's what's hard is how conflicting it is. Like the stories, some say that you know that the spirit of the little girl told him that this is what she wanted. But the story that I'm sticking with, one of the versions that I like, is the fact that he kept like having nightmares, and the little girl would basically torment him, and he would go and get another doll and then put it up for her, and then go and get another doll and put it up, eventually forming a giant just nothing but dolls. and this guy was there by himself.
Yeah, it's really disturbing when you look at some of these photos, and we'll share more. But what he started doing was he started collecting dolls, right? And so it didn't matter
Yeah,
to him if they
what
were
they
in the
were.
state of repair or broken or missing an eyeball or a limb. It didn't matter. He just started collecting dolls and putting dolls everywhere. And he even had his own little like cabin on the island, and
Yeah.
he had him in there. Like he was sleeping with dolls, and it went really overboard. And so I'm going to share some more as we're talking.
So yeah, that they're everywhere, and a lot of people. I mean, now it's a paranormal like tourist spot. Some people will say that when you go there, if you're by yourself, that sometimes the dolls will turn their heads and they would look at you, that they would start talking, even though these have been weathered, and been in the rain, been in storms, because in the location he's in, there's hurricanes and all kinds of stuff. So, this waterlogged and these things are talking and they're laughing, or some of them will even say phrases in Spanish where
Mhm.
these dolls are American dolls and they wouldn't say phrases in Spanish. So
Yeah,
there's
the
this,
whole thing. Let's see. He did allow people to come to the island and see the dolls. He didn't have a problem with that. And he would allow people to take pictures. He charged him a little bit of money, and that's probably how he was surviving, because he left his farm. He left his wife and
yeah.
child to make this his life's work. And it's kind of bizarre, you know. But I mean, this is what he did, and this was his passion. And but people, you're right. People do say they hear whispers, that the dolls will kind of move around, and at night there are shadows that move around. I don't know what kind of wildlife is out there.
I think
I
mostly in
don't
that
know.
area, I think there are caiman, spiders, snakes. Someone said that this that this doll was moving, just like wiggling a little bit, and he went to kind of like take it off to kind of figure out what's going on. It falls, and like all these spiders just
Oh
started
God.
crawling out of it. And
Oh my God, that's like horrific. The only thing worse
so
would be is if a snake slithered out of it. I'm like, no,
and
no.
and said,
Um,
"Oh, SOS, SOS, take me home with you."
you're so wrong. You're so wrong.
So
There's.
these
Go
dolls,
ahead.
I mean, these dolls. So I don't know if I know that there's people that have paid extra to spend the night, and and you guys gotta imagine. I mean, this cabin will probably. I think there's only one cot in it. Like, do you have the picture of it? Oh, look at that.
Oh, the
That is.
cabin. I
Yeah.
do. Let me find one. Yeah.
So anyway, so some
Yeah.
people say that it's hard for you to sleep because of the large amount of whispers that go on in the cabin. It's almost as if they're speaking to each other, and these dolls are like, and then and then you can't sleep,
Ugh.
and then you
Ugh.
stand, and someone said they went outside and they looked, and then the whole island was just awake, basically everything just whispering, like just talking amongst each other, and then. And it's more than one person actually said this, and they're saying that doesn't matter. Like, is it psychological? I don't know if it's psychological because they said they can hear the whispers in the language that they originally speak. So if you speak Spanish, then let's see.
I think the cabin is back behind all these dolls.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's
The
more
so that
inside. I mean, this is.
that that sign says no seas puerco. So basically saying don't be a pig. Huh, that's
Don't
interesting.
be. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Um. Well, but that's not unusual in that EVPs, when we do record them, usually they're recorded and you capture them in the sound that the language you're speaking, which I always found interesting. It's rare that you will capture them in another language. You can, but it's not usual. I don't understand that. I mean, there's a lot we don't understand about the phenomenon, right? But uh, it's occasionally you'll catch something that sounds French or something in Spanish or something, but it's really rare. Almost everything's in English, and people say that all the time. Like, well, if these people spoke French here, then how come we're getting EVPs in English? Maybe that's because that's how we hear it. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be too. And you know, in Ghost Adventures, Zach Baggins went to that island, and
Yes.
I know before you, I don't want you to feel like I'm telling you a tall tale here, but he was affected.
What?
Yeah,
He
he's
was
like, bro,
affected by it?
this
Dude.
doll's affecting me, bro. Um,
Yeah, go
but
figure.
oh man, I thought you were gonna play a sound effect. Yeah,
Oh, I
bro.
was going to, and then I lost them. I
Uh,
don't know where they went.
oh man, so it goes. Let's try that
Oh, they're
again. Okay, here
there.
we go. Okay,
Okay,
here we
do it
go. Here, ready?
again.
Ready? Okay, ready. Okay. And I know it's gonna surprise. See, now it feels fake. Okay, but here we go. I know it's gonna surprise you, but Zach Baggins was affected. Wa- Was affected. I don't know. I didn't hear any. What, what is wrong with us? Anyways, he's. I know what's going on. It's this doll. So,
Oh,
all right. So dolls, and this is what's creepy. I think this doll's beautiful. I don't know why you're
no.
so creeped out. Look at her
Nope.
little angelic face. Very cheer of
No,
life.
no,
Okay, fine.
I'm looking at creepier pictures of the island, so no.
So,
I'm tr-
did you know that back in the I want to say 1800s, before they utilized plastic in dolls, they were porcelain, and then they would fill them up with sawdust, flour, ashes, and then some cultures would fill them with the ashes of a deceased child. So whenever they lost a child, and if they were to cremate the child, they would get a doll made, and they would put the
kind of look like
ashes.
it. Yeah.
Yep, and then they would dress the doll up in the clothes of the child they lost.
I get the times and I understand their logic for doing something like that, but no,
The-
that's
Were we
creepy.
recording? Were we recording when I was talking about why I think that you had like such a discomfort with dolls, or was
I
that
think
off
so.
camera?
No,
Did we
I don't
record it?
remember. I don't know.
So, well, I'm gonna say it again just in case. So people, so people out there believe that when you have a phobia of the dolls to the point where if you know there's a porcelain doll in the house, like let's say you come over like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with Econ, and you know this thing is in there, you're like, nope, I can't even set foot on the property. Where some people are like that, and the reason that they believe it is because in their past life they were the spirit of a child that was trapped inside of a porcelain doll for maybe hundreds of years until, or I want to say hundreds of years, maybe like years and years until the spirit moved on, and then if you believe in this kind of stuff, you came back, and then now you look at a doll, and what you see is your prison where you were, for years and years, because a lot of those a lot of those spirits, they believe that didn't choose to be inhabit this doll. It's almost like they were forced and put into this doll, by somebody putting the remains and then asking a certain prayer or a certain blessing and then putting that spirit and trapping it inside this doll. So the reason why you feel discomfort is because you're like, "Ooh, where is my jail cell? I am not going back to that." So just the thought of it's creepy.
It is creepy. So a couple of weeks ago we did an investigation at a house here in Old Town, and it had a lot of dolls in it, and it was all I could do to get through that investigation because they were everywhere. It was terrifying for me. The only one that didn't freak me out was down there was a in the basement. It almost looked like a marionette, but it didn't have,
Okay,
you know what I
didn't have
mean?
the
And it was
strings.
of an
Yeah.
yeah, and it was an old guy. I mean, but he looked like he was a marionette, um, or like the kind that you would sit on your lap and work, but he didn't have that mechanism, so he
The,
didn't
the, the
creep me
Jeff
out.
Dunhams.
Yes, for some weird reason, I was okay with that one, but every other doll in that place, I'm like,
Well,
ooh,
that's
please get
because
it away from me.
nobody trapped your soul in a marionette. They trapped it in a nice, beautiful porcelain doll.
Yeah, no.
So have you ever? I forget the name of the website now. Not the website, but the channel. There was a lady basically ran like an orphanage for trapped souls, and she had these dolls, just her whole house just littered with these dolls everywhere. And she would adopt these spirit children. I think that's what she called them. I think she would adopt these spirit children in her home, and she would leave recorders all around the house, and you can hear like little voices here and there, just around. So there's this particular doll. Sorry, I thought I heard some humming. Anyways, so there was this there was a, yeah, it was clear as day too. Anyways, so there was this particular doll where she comes into the room. She's gonna go collect the recorder, and she sneezes like chew, and then you hear a bless you, coming
Yeah, no, I'd burn it. I'd burn the house down.
from. So, have you ever done an
Seriously.
investigation where somebody has brought you like let's say you come over like, excuse me, hey, can you put a EVP recorder or just a recorder on this? And then have you done that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, we call them trigger objects, right? So a haunting, and they think it's maybe they keep hearing the sound of a basketball, like a little boy playing basketball. We'll bring a ball for the investigation. That is a trigger to try to get something to happen. And and a lot of times you will catch EVPs on your recorders when you do stuff like that. So sure.
So there's man, and in reality, there's like no real way for you to really know. But is the do you believe that the spirit inhabits the doll itself, or do you believe it's around the doll? Like wherever this doll goes, this thing follows. Like, what is your opinion on that? Because there's no way to know.
That's a good question. I don't know. I in my head, I'm thinking that it's in the doll. That it's not around the doll; it's in the doll.
That it's in the doll, kind of like what we were just talking about, how these
Yeah.
things are trapped in. So, see, now I wonder if you were to take one of those dolls that's supposedly haunted, and if you were to take a hammer and like crack the head, what would happen? You think the spirit would be released, or you think that it'd be trapped in these shards? And
I don't know. That's a really good question. You know, people ask all the time how to get rid of objects that they think are haunted. Like, what's the best mechanism for that? And I I don't know. We've had to deal with a few things like mirrors and stuff that people are simply like, nope, I get it out of my house. Ever since we brought this thing in, you know. So we'll do some kind of ceremony to release whatever energy's there, and then
I almost
I think once you release the energy that's there, I think it's going to be trapped though until you release the energy that's there. I don't think that physically breaking it apart is going to release it, because it's whatever spirit is in that is asking to be released. Just breaking it apart doesn't mean anything. That's my interpretation.
I was gonna say, if you have a cursed object and you don't know how to get rid of it, you should and especially if it's expensive, call Zach Baggins. He'll be like, I think I know what it is.
I know what
Is
it
this
is.
what was that show? Remember, he had a show where he would release people of their, and it was never a mop. It was never like, it's this mop, bro. It was always like, is that an authentic 1800s Japanese katana? Mate,
Was
is that
that
what it
Zach
is?
or was that Haunted Collector? Because
So,
I think the Haunted
thoughts?
Collector was always something really, really expensive.
See, now I
You
don't
know?
remember, and I'm gonna have to look that up. I thought it was Zach Baggins. I was like, is that an actual katana? And they're like, yeah, this is the first object. This is what, bro. Look, it's worth a lot of money. Like, bro, is this a stack of
Yeah.
cash? This
Yeah,
is
it's
worth.
never like half of a playing deck that you pawned and you bought in Reno or something of cards. It's never that. It's always like this 18th century vase that's
He's
worth you know
I'll
Yeah.
release it. Okay, so really, really quick. I mean, we kind of got off topic of the Island of Dolls,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a great segue because I believe that those objects, I think a lot of it is psychological, but like maybe it's not. And what if with the tulpa, how you believe in something so much that you
Yep.
create something. Do you think that these
Mm-hmm.
people that visit this island, because people bring their own dolls now, people bring their own
Yeah.
dolls, and because
Yep.
they're afraid that something might follow them back, or they're afraid that they're gonna die, or they're gonna be cursed, so they bring this doll and they leave it there. Um, do you believe that with these people thinking like, oh man, they create a tulpa, and now the tulpa will inhabit this doll or is attached to the doll because people believe so much in it, or am I dumb?
Um, no, I mean, I think thoughts are powerful, and you can do that, certainly. I don't know that everybody listening would know what a tulpa is. It's a manifestation of, it's a physical manifestation of a thought, right? It's a belief that
Yeah,
you put out there, and you believe it so strongly that it physically manifests, and it can kind of take over your life. So it's not always, I've rarely heard of a tulpa that's good, put it that way. It's usually manifestation that turns very dark. But because it's based on fear, usually fear and right darkness. So allegedly there is a curse on these dolls if you were to take them from the island, and people do bring dolls there. And I don't know if I do believe in tulpas, and I do believe that physical manifestation can happen. I don't think it happens very frequently, but I think it happens.
Chloe, shush. I think that's you whispering. You need to stop. Anyways, so SOS was
Um,
speaking. Show some respect. Anyway, so yeah, and I do believe that people put so much, man, and I don't know. So these people, they have such a fear. They go to these places because they want to be scared, or they want to. And I wonder if they go to this place, and as soon as they say, I don't care if you're a skeptic. I think that the moment that you step into this island, knowing the history of it, knowing what's going on, I think that you're going to begin to feel like nervous when you look around. You're like, "Ooh, this place is demented." When you look at all the dolls and all the
yeah,
rotting stuff, and I wonder if that fear, and then you're just like, I am pretty sure that doll looked at me. I'm pretty sure that I heard whispering. As you're going, I wonder if that energy is
yeah.
creating something.
Well, that psychological thing that you're playing on, as you're going, it's like people who are afraid of the woods, right? What was that? And they psych themselves
Yeah.
so out when they're in the woods, when it's Bambi or a chipmunk, or it's, you know what I mean? They psych themselves into being absolutely terrified of what's in the woods when it's a chipmunk. So you have to, there are situations you put yourself in, and you create such a psychological problem that these places, most people who are going to this are probably going specifically to get freaked out, because it's going to be freaky. I mean, it's going to be weird to see this. I have no desire to see this.
So there's an island in El Salvador. It's called La Isla de los Quemados, the island of the burned. And this place is where the origin. Okay, see, so in a place called Ilopango, there was a massive volcano that basically emerged from this lake and created everything around it. This was like the 1700s. Can you imagine that? In the 1700s, created all this something. So then these islands were formed, and they were always telling these stories that these islands were cursed, that there was a curse on these islands by the locals. So in the 1950s, they would take prisoners, and these are not like islands with trees. These are just rocks. These are just these big volcanic rocks that are just. They used to take prisoners and basically like chain them to each other and leave them there, and then they used to fly over with helicopters and just mow them down. And that's what they did, yeah, and that's what they would do over and over. They found it as entertainment, and also it was like a
Yikes.
So it's like you can jump into the water and drown, or you can be ripped apart by, an M48. That's so. Anyway, so then people began to go by this. People that like tourists. So now it's a huge tourist place. So people will go past these islands, and people say it's almost like they feel like weight,
Oh
like
yeah.
hit them as they're going back with no idea, what's going on. And then the person that's driving the boat will say something like, oh, you feel it. Do you feel that? And they go, yeah. You're like, do you know the history of this place? We're like, no. And then they explain this, blah, blah, blah. They tell them the whole story. And these are people that are just tourists. They're here just to have a good time. But then they're having fun. And as soon as they walk, they see they get this overwhelming feeling of just heaviness and just fear and sorrow. So I wonder if an island like this does the same thing. You arrive there, as soon as you set foot, you begin to feel this fear. Even if you don't believe, if you're a skeptic, you're like, something is wrong. And then you're just adding.
It's kind of interesting that you bring that up because it was created from actually maybe a good place. Like it's his dedication to a drowning child, to it. You know what I mean? It's like it's his shrine to this child that was lost, and so that
As a
seems
memorial.
like an act of love. Like a love, and then it just went so dark. Like, and maybe if it wasn't for all the tourists, it wouldn't have this dark undertone to it, because a shrine is usually not dark. Usually.
Yeah, and that is ridiculous to think about it. Okay, so when do you want to go there? Should we go
Yeah, no, not going. Never. No,
take a
I'll
tent
deal with.
and then,
I can deal with the ugliest of hauntings. I really, really can. But the whole doll thing, I just can't do. Mm-mm.
man, see, now who am I going to go with? Anyways, so I guess it's just you and me, Chloe. Anyways, so, man, so this place, I mean, you guys should take a look at it. You guys should go and look at pictures, look at videos. I mean, when we talk about disturbing this place, man, and like you said, the history is just so. If if the island didn't look the way that it did, and it didn't have dolls, if someone said, and every day this guy comes around and he built a shrine and he puts pineapples on here, and people wouldn't be freaked out. People would
Yeah, it
be
wouldn't
like,
be
oh, that's
freaky.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But then you get there, and it's just littered. It looks like Toy
Well, the
Story.
thing is, too, is that they're all broken and discarded and just in horrible condition, and it didn't bother him. So I'm thinking, like if I was going to have a shrine to a child, that it wouldn't be a broken, derelict looking thing. I'd want it to be perfect, and I would want it maintained. But that's, you know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
whole, like, I don't know where that shift is with him, where it was okay to be discarded and abandoned and broken and terrible looking, and that's a shrine. That's weird to me.
Wonder. Now I'm going to get a little philosophical here. What if the island is a metaphor for his mental state?
Well, actually, that had occurred to me when I was reading all this stuff. Like, there had to have been something there that in mentally for this to occur. No,
What if
I
the
mean,
first
I'm
doll
not.
was nice? Like what if it was a
Doesn't
nice doll?
I don't know. There's one that I was trying to find a picture of it, and I did see one fleetingly earlier this week. It's called Augustinita, and that was the one that allegedly represented the child spirit to him, and that one was in fairly good shape at the time the photo was taken, so you can look for that online. She was almost encased. She didn't have a glass case, but she had like a little building around her, and that was the protected doll, and I think that was the child's embodiment to him, right? That's what it represented.
Oh.
So, yeah. But anyway, his nephew is now caretaker of the island. He doesn't live on it. He lives about 20 miles away, I guess, or 20 minutes away. And he comes and goes from the island. And then he said when he doesn't have any children. When the time comes that he no longer wants to maintain the island, that he was going to leave it to the dead. Those were his words.
I would have burned that place to the ground. Wow,
I don't know.
what if that guy died and became one of the dolls?
Yeah, that's a creepy thought.
It's a very creepy thought.
It's a very creepy thought. As of 2013, there were over 1,500 dolls on the island. So that was 10 years ago. Can you imagine how many dolls are there now?
Oh,
Because people bring them.
someone said they brought a doll there and they hung it on this tree and it was filled with beans. Like that was the filling with beans, and they sprouted because of the rain, and all these vines are coming out of the eyes and out of the.
Oh God! Oh yeah, I actually remember. So way back when I was a little kid, my mom had given me a doll, and it didn't last long. But it did have beans. The body was filled with beans, little white pinto beans or something. Yeah. So my fears started very young. I think I was 4 years old, and she took me to a dollhouse on the beach, and somewhere San Diego or something like that, right? And she thought it would be this wonderful mother-daughter bonding thing, and let me go get my own doll. It was this huge A-frame dollhouse right on the beach. And she said she opened the door, and then she looked back, and I had fainted. I was like, down, gone, out, cold.
What? That is
like, what in the world? And so I'm like, and when I came to, I just screamed. And she's like, well, I guess we're not getting her a doll. I'm like, no. Yeah.
That is ridiculous. I'm telling you, you were trapped in a doll.
I don't know what it is, but no.
Oh, when I die, I want to be trapped in a doll.
No, thank you.
Trapped in a blow-up doll. Oh, no thanks.
Oh, you had to go there.
Where's that sound effect?
God. I just never know what you're going to say, Decon.
Oh, geez.
Anyway,
maybe I am.
I like the topic. There's just, it's a creepy one for me. I can take doors opening and closing and all kinds of stuff going on in my house, but not that.
Not the dolls, man. I'm gonna start putting recorders next to these dolls and just kind of seeing what, because because Melissa's supposedly haunted.
Well, now you have two, which is even weirder. I don't know about you and the whole doll thing, Decon. That's disturbing to me, but to each their own, I guess, right? Who am I to judge?
Hey, stop it! How dare you? So, all right, is that it for the for the island? There's not
a whole lot out there. I mean, there's really not that much. There's so many different stories out there, but it's a really I don't know where the truth is.
But it's I think that
I almost think he had a mental breakdown. That's where I'm leaning, is that it wasn't so much paranormal as mental breakdown.
As mental breakdown, man, and so and again, we're talking about. Oh, by the way, what if Bigfoot's a tulpa?
That I could buy easily, more so than a cryptid.
A blurry tulpa.
A blurry, never.
The guy, the guy that made it lost his glasses, so he was kind of Where's that sound effect?
On time.
Oh, holy shit. Anyway, so man, let's try to get Kelly on here. I'm gonna try to make him laugh.
All right.
I'll tell him that Bigfoot joke.
Well, that's it. It's a short podcast, but the Island of the Dolls, it's creepy, it's weird, and there wasn't a whole lot to it. But if you guys want to go down there, it's 17 miles south of the center of Mexico City.
Yeah, Mexico City.
So it's not. I mean, it's not like you have to travel for days and days and days to get to this thing. If you're in Mexico City, I heard
Yeah,
it's
it's just
like
right there.
4
I mean,
hours round trip to tour the island and come back to Mexico City.
yeah, just don't get kidnapped. So,
Yeah. So,
so
another reason
there's
why I don't want to go. So,
so there's
but
that. Just don't get kidnapped by dolls.
yeah. Um So yeah, and another just a little tidbit. So this is on this guy's
Hmm.
psychological thing here. This Augustinita, I think this is the shrine doll that represented the little girl. He believed
Agustina,
that huh? How do you say it?
Agustina.
Augustinita. Augustinita, right? Augustinita.
Agustanita.
Okay, can't do it with the accent, but that one, yeah. And
Just try
that
it.
doll had I can't do accents. That
Like
doll
like
had huh?
La isla de las muñecas.
Thank you. I can't do that either. So he believed that doll walks around on her own power every night, and he believed that doll would
Ooh,
walk around to protect him on the island. So
whoa,
there's that.
that's cool.
And
Nice.
she's a pretty good sized doll. So anyway,
Ooh, those are the kind that could wrap her hands around your neck and then just you wake you wake up just. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining us today. This was a fantastic episode. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and spread the word. If you guys
yes,
have
yes.
if you guys have like a grandmother that has like a bad heart, just show her the show. Be like, "Hey,
We have a lot of viewers. We're not having all the subscribers we need because we really need the subscribers, guys. Please like and
yeah,
subscribe. Please,
yeah,
please,
you
please.
bunch of bastards." And so
The cult of
I
the
love the
sick.
audience. The
I
cult of the
know.
sick. Yeah, the cult of you bunch of sick-minded. There's also somebody that suggested the Roadkill Crew because it's Nightmare
Oh,
Road.
like that a lot.
That one's good.
Roadkill Crew. We need to do shirts with that on. I like
I'll
it.
get right on it. I'll get my sketch pad.
Yeah, I would like the
Um,
raccoon that has the white line painted over it, when they're
I did. I
hanging
drew
in
that
there.
the other day.
Did you?
Yeah. I should put one where being ran over and he's holding onto a doll. Anyway. All right, guys, this was a great show. Thanks for joining us. Like I said, like and subscribe, spread the word. I mean, tell people like, hey, come check this out, and then show them the episode and show them my stupid face, and and just like and subscribe. It's a great show. We appreciate you guys, and
We
that is
do.
it. So, I was one of your hosts, Chloe. I mean,
Yeah.
Pecan. Who said that? Here with the very, very extravagant looking.
SOS.
And remember, guys, to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves